President Ibrahim Traoré walked through the heart of the Ouagadougou market, dressed in plain clothes. A white linen shirt, simple brown trousers, and a weathered cap pulled low over his eyes. No motorcade, no flashing lights, no formal jacket with medals. Just him and two trusted guards, dressed as ordinary citizens trailing a few steps behind. Nobody recognized him. Not the butcher carving chunks of goat meat. Not the mango vendor shouting about ripe deals. Not the tired mother with 3 children clinging to her skirt. It was exactly how he wanted it. "I need to see for myself," he had told his wife that morning. She had looked at him nervously. Her hands paused mid-stir as she cooked their breakfast. "You're the president, not a ghost hunter. And that's the problem," he replied. "They only show me what they want me to see," she sighed. "Please be careful. I'll be back before sunset," he promised, kissing her forehead before slipping out unnoticed. The market was alive, colors and chaos, music and motorbikes. Children ran barefoot between stalls. Men argued over fish prices, and the aroma of grilled plantains filled the air. For a moment, Ibrahim felt something he hadn't in months. Connection. Then he heard it, a crackly speaker tied with wires to an old broomstick. The sound was sharp, the voice clearer than expected. "Breaking news," a young voice announced. "A plot is underway. The president is in danger tonight." Ibrahim froze. The voice came from a girl, maybe 12 or 13 years old, standing on an overturned crate. She wore a torn blue dress and a dusty backpack, her hair in messy braids, her face sun-darkened and serious. The speaker beside her looked broken, but it worked, amplified by a dusty radio strapped to its side. "The attackers are insiders," the girl shouted. "Tonight, during a private meeting, they plan to eliminate President Traoré." Some laughed. A few tossed coins into a plastic bowl in front of her. Most ignored her like another street performer playing at politics. But Ibrahim's instincts screamed. He pushed through the crowd, acting like any curious man. When he got closer, he asked, "Where did you hear that?" The girl blinked, confused. "Why do you care, mister?" "Just, never heard anything like it," he said with forced calm. "Is it a joke?" Her voice dropped. "It's not a joke. I heard it last night. My radio caught a shortwave signal. Men talking in code. I know what I heard. Can you prove it?" The girl looked around, then nodded. She pulled a small scratched recorder from her backpack. "I recorded part of it." She pressed play. Static. Then voices low, muffled, speaking in local dialect. "He must be gone before morning. We move during the council meeting. The guards are ready." Ibrahim's blood turned cold. One of the voices, he knew it. He had shared tea with that man just yesterday. The girl watched him. "Do you know them?" He swallowed hard. "Do you?" She shook her head.
"Oh."
"But I traced the signal. It came from within city limits. I've been playing with frequencies since I was 7. My dad was a communications soldier before he died. Now I live on the street. But radios are my world." Ibrahim stared at her. This girl, a nobody to the world, had just saved his life. "I need you to come with me," he said. "Why?" "Because I believe you." He removed his cap slowly. Her eyes widened. Her lips trembled. You're the president. Keep your voice down," he whispered. She stepped back, overwhelmed.
"Oh."
"I didn't mean to. You did nothing wrong," he said, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You may have saved a nation."
"Oh."
His guards moved in quickly. One whispered, "Sir, we need to leave." "Now?" Ibrahim nodded. "Bring the girl. She comes with us." "I can't go to the palace," she said. "I sleep in a broken bus behind the train station." "Not anymore," Ibrahim said, already walking. "Tonight you ride with the president." As they slipped into the alley and toward a waiting SUV, the market returned to normal.
"Oh."
But across the crowd, someone wasn't clapping or laughing. A man with sunglasses and a scar across his jaw pulled out a phone. He made a call. "It's her. She knows." The SUV moved like a whisper through Ouagadougou's back alleys. No lights, no sirens, just shadows weaving between concrete and dust. Inside, President Ibrahim Traoré sat beside the girl who had just shaken the foundations of his world. Her name was Amina. She sat stiffly, clutching the old recorder in her lap like a treasure chest. Her eyes darted across the leather seats, the blinking dashboard, and the quiet seriousness of the two plainclothes guards sitting in front. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Is this real?" Ibrahim looked at her and gave a faint smile. "It's as real as the danger you helped me uncover." Amina turned her gaze to the window, watching the world speed past. "So what happens now?" she asked. The president took a deep breath. "Now we prepare for tonight's council meeting." "They're still going to do it?" "Yes," he said. "They think I don't know. That's what gives us the advantage." The vehicle curved into a side gate of the Unity Palace. Guards opened the steel barrier and nodded silently as the SUV passed. They didn't know the passenger next to the president was the very reason he was still breathing. Once inside, Ibrahim led Amina to a side wing of the palace. A soft bed, a plate of food, her first warm bath in weeks. She didn't know what to say. For a moment, she stared at the steaming rice and fried fish like it was a trap. "You don't have to eat if you don't want to," Ibrahim said gently. "No," Amina said quickly. "It's just, I've never been served anything. Not like this." He nodded but didn't press further. Time was ticking. In his private study, Ibrahim summoned Commander Dao Da Kieta, head of internal intelligence. Dao Da was sharp-eyed, built like a soldier but quiet like a monk. When he heard the recording, his face turned to stone. "Do you recognize the voices?" Ibrahim asked. "Yes, Minister of Defense, Colonel Zaka Ouattara." "The other sounds like Norbert Bayo, the deputy head of security." Ibrahim's fists clenched. These were men who had sworn loyalty, men who had laughed at his table. "Do nothing until the meeting tonight," the president ordered. "Watch them. Let them think they've succeeded." "And the girl? She stays under protection," Ibrahim said. "She's the only reason we know anything." That night, the palace shimmered under quiet tension. Extra guards patrolled discreetly. Surveillance cameras watched every inch. Secret checkpoints filtered all entry points. Inside the command center, Dao Da coordinated from a wall of monitors. But none of that prepared them for what happened next. At 10:50 p.m., the Council of Ministers meeting commenced. The chamber doors opened one by one. Men in tailored suits walked in with smiles and nods. They shook hands, laughed, sipped tea, as if the blood of betrayal didn't stain their collars. At 11 o'clock sharp, President Ibrahim entered. The room stood, a synchronized, respectful salute. The air was thick with pretense. Ibrahim gave them a polite nod and sat at the head of the polished mahogany table. The conversation began: budget reviews, regional tensions, troop deployments. But Ibrahim heard none of it. His ears were tuned to the earpiece hidden behind his collar. His voice stayed calm. His eyes scanned everything. Sir Dao Da's voice whispered in his ear. "There's a signal in the room. Audio is being transmitted live." Ibrahim's blood chilled. "From where?" "We're still tracing," Dao Da replied. "But it's coming from someone on your left." Ibrahim turned slightly. On his left sat three men: Minister of Agriculture, Colonel Ouattara, the man from the tape, and Norbert Bayo. Then it happened. Colonel Ouattara, while reaching for his glass, knocked it over. Seti leaned forward to wipe the spill. His jacket shifted, and Ibrahim caught a flicker, a red blinking light. Small, almost invisible. But he saw it. A bug. He pressed the pen clip to his pocket, his silent signal. Instantly, Dao Dao activated Operation Eclipse. In seconds, the power to the entire building went out. Total darkness. Then crash. A window shattered. Thud, smoke bombs dropped from the ceiling. Armed guards stormed in wearing night vision goggles, grabbing the ministers and shouting commands. "Hands up, nobody move." Within half a minute, the power returned. The room was in chaos. Chairs overturned. Tea spilled, faces pale. On the floor, pinned beneath two guards, was Colonel Zaka Ouattara. From his inside jacket pocket, a small transmitter was recovered, still blinking red. Ibrahim stood slowly, voice low and sharp. "I gave you trust. You gave me betrayal." Zaka trembled. They threatened my family. I didn't want to. You always had a choice, Ibrahim said coldly. But just as Zaka was being dragged out, a shout echoed from the hall. One of the palace guards has fled. Ibrahim's heart slammed in his chest. He turned to Dauda. Check the girl.
No.
The commander didn't wait for another word. He ran, but Ibrahim was already ahead of him, storming out of the chamber like a man chasing lightning. The girl, Amina, she was the key, and now she might be gone. President Ibrahim raced down the marble corridors of Unity Palace, his boots echoing like gunshots. Behind him, 4 armed guards followed, guns drawn, radios buzzing with static and panic. The palace no longer felt safe. Every shadow seemed like a threat. He turned the final corner to the guest wing and found the door to Amina's room wide open. Inside, emptiness. No Amina, no recorder, just an open window. And blood. A single drop near the frame. Search everything, Ibrahim barked. Every hallway, every gate. Check the cameras. But even as he said it, he knew cameras were probably cut. The enemy wasn't careless anymore. Commander Dauda arrived, breathless. His eyes landed on the window. They climbed out, tree outside the kitchen wing. Ibrahim said quietly, 6-foot wall, easy escape route. Dauda nodded. I'll check with the security tower. No, Ibrahim said. Go to the radio tower instead. See if there were strange transmissions during the blackout. I'm on it. Ibrahim stood in the room, his fists clenched. He looked at the small smear of blood again. Amina had been taken. Somewhere in the shadows of the capital, she was alone. Across the city, on a rough dirt road leading to the outskirts, a van sped through the darkness. Inside, Amina was tied to a chair, her mouth gagged with cloth, wrists bleeding slightly from tight ropes. Her eyes were fierce, but her body trembled. Across from her sat a thick man with a cruel smile and a scar slicing down his left cheek. Captain Barrow, a dishonorably discharged officer, known for spying and selling intel to foreign bidders. Well, Barrow said, lighting a cigarette. You made quite the mess tonight, little girl. Amina didn't respond. Her eyes stayed locked on him. Oh, you just had to play with your little radios, he hissed. Do you know how many men want you dead? He leaned forward. You should have stayed invisible. The driver laughed. She's just a kid. Let's dump her in the river and be done with it. No, Barrow said. The boss wants to hear what she recorded. He held out her recorder, pressed play. Nothing, static, no voices, no secret meeting, nothing but silence. What the? Barrow growled. Where's the tape? He ripped the gag off her mouth. Where is it? Amina spit blood from her lip. Gone. Barrow backhanded her across the face. Don't play smart with me. I hid it, she whispered. All where? She smiled through the pain. You'll never find it. Barrow raised his hand again. Then his phone buzzed. He picked up. A voice on the other end. Change of plan. President's closing in. Move the girl to the airfield. Jet leaves in 30 minutes. Barrow's face twisted in frustration. Understood. He shoved the phone into his pocket and turned to Amina. Looks like you're going on a little trip. Say goodbye to your country. Back at the palace, a janitor barely out of high school walked through the market plaza near the south wall. He was assigned to clean the area, particularly the broken speaker Amina had used earlier that day. As he wiped dust from the battered plastic, something caught his attention. Tape, a lot of it. Curious, he peeled it back and found something wedged inside the speaker's shell. A tiny memory card. He stared at it. His pulse quickened. A security officer walked by. Sir, the janitor said nervously, I think this belongs to the president. 20 minutes later, inside the palace command center, Dauda rushed in, holding the card like it was a live grenade. Sir, he shouted. President Ibrahim turned from the window where he had been silently praying. We found it. He stared at the tiny drive in Dauda's hand, almost not believing it. Where? In the street speaker. Dauda said. The one she used. She hid it there. Ibrahim nodded slowly, deeply moved. She was smarter than all of us. He plugged the card into the system. The room held its breath, then the audio played. Real voices, clear, sharp, sinister. We move tonight. He must not leave that meeting alive. The girl, She knows nothing. We'll handle her. Proof. Irrefutable. Unforgivable. Ibrahim stood taller. She gave us the truth, he said quietly. Then a voice crackled over the radio from an undercover agent near the airport. Sir, I've spotted a black van heading to runway 12. Suspect match. Captain Barrow. Ibrahim didn't hesitate. Prep the chopper. I'm coming. Sir, it's dangerous. She risked everything for me, he said. Now I'll do the same. At the edge of the capital, a private airstrip buzzed with quiet activity. A black jet sat waiting. The van rolled up. Amina was pulled from the back, bruised but still defiant. Barrow shoved her toward the stairs. You're lucky, girl. You'll vanish without a trace. Sold to men far crueler than me. Amina said nothing. Just as she stepped onto the metal staircase, the air trembled. Thump, thump, thump. A helicopter roared into view. Spotlights cut through the night. Down, hands in the air, shouted a voice through a megaphone. Soldiers fast-roped from the sky, like angels of war. Barrow grabbed Amina, pressing a gun to her head. Back off or she dies. The soldiers hesitated. Then bang, a shot rang from the shadows. Barrow collapsed, screaming, blood pouring from his leg. Amina fell to the ground, gasping. Out of the second chopper, boots hit the dirt. President Ibrahim emerged, calm, steady, furious. He walked straight toward the chaos. You hurt my people. You tried to sell my nation. You stole a child. Barrow coughed, clutching his wound. It's not over. It is now. Ibrahim looked at his men. Arrest them all, and burn that jet if you have to. Then he knelt beside Amina, gently lifting her face. I told you I'd come back before sunset, he whispered. She smiled through tears. You're late. The chopper cut across the night sky, carrying Amina and President Ibrahim back to the capital. The roar of its blades was deafening, but inside, there was only silence. Not because there was nothing to say, but because everything had already been said. With action, with sacrifice, with fire. Amina sat next to the president, her face swollen but defiant, her clothes torn but her spirit unbroken. She held a cold pack against her lip, eyes occasionally drifting toward the floor of the cabin. Ibrahim watched her with quiet admiration. This girl, who had once shouted news through a broken speaker, had just saved a nation from the edge of collapse. You were brave, he said. She glanced at him and smirked. You weren't bad either. Ibrahim chuckled softly. You risked your life for the truth. I just listened, she said. No one else did. You heard what the whole country refused to hear. As the helicopter descended toward the Unity Palace, dozens of journalists and cameramen were already gathering near the front gates. News had spread like wildfire, gunfire at the airfield. A secret plot exposed. The president involved in a dramatic rescue. But no one knew the real story. Not yet. By morning, Burkina Faso had changed. Ibrahim stood behind a podium at the National Press Center. His suit was neat, his expression calm, but behind his eyes was a storm of betrayal and fury. Amina stood beside him, now in clean clothes, her hair brushed, a bandage still over her cheek. Television stations across the nation cut into regular programming. Citizens of Burkina Faso. Ibrahim began. Last night, your country was nearly stolen from you. Not by foreign invaders, but by traitors in our own house. Gasps rippled through the press gallery. He continued. Thanks to the courage of one citizen, a young girl with nothing but a broken radio and a sharp mind, a deadly plan was stopped. She listened when others were deaf. She cared when others were silent. And she acted. He gestured to Amina. She looked down, overwhelmed. She is proof that you don't need power to protect your people. You only need truth and courage. A standing ovation erupted. Cameras flashed. News anchors wept. Later that day, across every major channel, Ibrahim released the recording Amina had hidden. The people heard the truth with their own ears. Voices plotting betrayal, ministers speaking of death, a child called a problem. The streets erupted, not in violence, but in unity. Crowds gathered in public squares, not to protest, but to protect. Ordinary people vowed to defend their democracy. Graffiti began appearing on city walls. A girl heard, "We all must listen." In the following days, arrests swept through the government. Colonel Ouattara, Deputy Norbert Bayo, and several intelligence officers were detained, interrogated and charged with treason. Their trials would be public, their crimes undeniable. But something deeper had shifted. Ibrahim met with his cabinet. What remained of it? "We were blind," he told them. Not just to danger, but to the people. He proposed a new idea, a security division unlike anything before. A people's guard. It wouldn't be made of career spies or elite officers. It would be built from students, workers, street vendors, retired teachers, citizens trained in intelligence, equipped to monitor corruption, and given a voice. "They're the ones who hear the whispers first," he said. "Let them be our ears." The ministers nodded. A week later, the People's Guard was formed. Applications flooded in. Among the first official members, Amina, on her first day in uniform. Blue cap, modest badge, digital radio strapped to her shoulder. She stood proudly at the same street corner where it all began. The broken speaker was still there, cleaned and shining, like a monument. Children gathered around her, asking questions. "Is it true you talked to the president? Did you really get kidnapped? Do you carry a gun now?" Amina laughed. "No guns, just ears." She turned on her new radio. It crackled to life. "You still listening?" one boy asked. "Always," she replied. Just then, a sleek black SUV pulled up. Out stepped President Ibrahim Traoré. No guards, no ceremony, just him. He approached the children with a smile, then turned to Amina. "I figured I'd find you here. I never left," she replied, grinning. They sat side by side on the crate she once stood on. "You know," Ibrahim said, "when I first heard your voice shouting warnings in the market, I thought it was just noise. And now I know," he said softly. It was the sound of hope. She handed him a small earbud. "Want to listen?" He took it, placed it in his ear. Static, then soft voices. Amina adjusted the frequency. There it was, men talking about transport routes, codes, chatter about security shifts. Ibrahim raised his eyebrow. "This real?" Amina nodded. "It's been going on for days." He smiled. "You really are one of us now." She leaned back. "No," she said proudly. "I'm one of them." Weeks passed. Burkina Faso was no longer the same. The People's Guard had become a national movement. What started as a unit of volunteers grew into a full-fledged citizen intelligence agency, with branches in every region. Market vendors monitored suspicious whispers. Taxi drivers reported strange movements. Teachers recorded grievances. Children listened to radios. The country had eyes and ears everywhere. And they belonged to the people, but in the shadows, threats still stirred. Foreign interests that once pulled strings through corrupt officials were furious. Arms deals were canceled, mining contracts revoked, backroom payments stopped. President Ibrahim's new anti-corruption laws had dried up their river of riches, and they wanted revenge. In a dimly lit office in another part of Africa, men in suits whispered over encrypted calls. They discussed alliances, black budgets, mercenaries. "That girl is a problem," one said coldly. "She made him dangerous. She made him unstoppable," another corrected. A plan was drafted. Fast, quiet, final. Meanwhile, in Ouagadougou, Amina walked through the gates of a new school, not just any school, one built by order of the president himself, a place for street children, orphans, and the forgotten. It was called the Listeners' Academy. The motto on its wall read, "Truth has no rank, courage has no uniform." Amina wasn't just a student there. She was a mentor, a role model. At 13, she had already changed the course of a nation. But even she didn't know the full extent. Not yet. That night, President Ibrahim sat at his desk, reading a report from the People's Guard. Amina's name appeared again and again. Signals she had intercepted, patterns she had decoded, warnings she had given. "She's more valuable than we imagined," said Douda, entering the room. "She's the symbol now," Ibrahim replied. "The soul of this movement." Douda looked grim. "That makes her a target." Ibrahim didn't flinch. We protect her, like we would any other national treasure. But evil moves fast. The next morning as Amina arrived at school, a white van parked near the gates. The driver wore a school security uniform, his face hidden behind sunglasses and a forged ID. No one questioned him. He waited until Amina stepped past the second gate. Then he moved, fast. A tranquilizer dart hit her neck. She gasped. The world blurred. She fell. The driver scooped her up, tossed her into the van, and vanished into the city maze. News reached the palace within minutes. Ibrahim was in a strategy meeting when DOMITA stormed in. They took her, he said. Time stopped. No one moved. Then Ibrahim stood up so slowly, it felt like the room held its breath. Lock the city, he said. Ground all aircraft. Close the roads. No one leaves Ouagadougou. His voice was quiet, deadly quiet. Find her, or don't come back. The city transformed overnight. Checkpoints, drones, undercover scouts, hackers tapped into surveillance systems, all for one girl. At the Listeners' Academy, students gathered in silence. Many wept, others clenched fists. One young boy, no older than 9, pulled out a handheld radio and began scanning frequencies. She would have done this, he said. A teacher nodded. Then let's listen. The school became a hive of activity. Radios buzzed, notebooks filled with signals, antennas were rigged on rooftops, and then a breakthrough, a scratchy voice, a location, an abandoned textile factory near the old train yard. It was all they needed. Ibrahim rode in the lead vehicle of the strike convoy, DOMITA beside him. They won't hurt her, DOMITA said. She's too important. Ibrahim didn't respond. He was already past hope. He was now fire. At the factory, Amina woke up tied to a chair again. Her head ached, her vision blurred. Barreau, alive, barely stood in the shadows with another man. A foreigner, tall, cold, accented. You've caused quite the storm, girl, the foreigner said. You should have stayed on your crate, playing with your broken toys. Amina spit at his shoes. He laughed. I admire the fire, but it ends today. The foreigner reached for a syringe. That's when the wall exploded. Flashbangs, smoke, gunfire, chaos. Ibrahim himself charged into the room, flanked by elite guards. Barreau tried to run. A bullet dropped him flat. The foreigner reached for the syringe, but Amina somehow kicked his knee. He screamed, dropped it. 2 guards tackled him. Ibrahim rushed to Amina, cutting her free. He asked, panting. She looked up at him and smiled. I told you I'd always be listening. That night the entire country gathered around their screens. Ibrahim stood before the nation again, but this time he stepped aside and let Amina speak. Her voice shook at first, then steadied. I'm just a girl, she said. But I heard something that wasn't right, so I told someone, and that changed everything. She paused. If I can do that, so can you. The room thundered with applause. A statue was raised at the market plaza, a young girl with a radio in her hand, standing on a crate. The plaque read, "One voice can save a nation."